Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I am currently driving through Kokomo, Indiana. This is going to be the second video that I'm making of Kokomo, Indiana. I'm currently driving through the east side of Kokomo, Indiana. This side of town is one of the lower price sides of town where you can live with some of the most affordable housing in the city of Kokomo. Housing prices on this side of town go for as low as $7,000. Now bear in mind, if you spend much less than, I'm gonna say 30 grand for a home, that house is gonna need an extensive amount of repairs. If you spend anything in the single digits, best believe that house is gonna need everything under the sun done to it. So around here in Kokomo, Indiana, at least on this side of Kokomo, if you're looking for a house that doesn't need too much repair, then I would say look to spend around $40,000 for a house. At least 40. Because if you go much under 40, then the amount of repairs you're going to have to do could get rather costly. Now, as I told you on previous videos, well, maybe I should say as I'll tell you right now, in many of these cities, I'm not going to be able to get every nook and cranny. I'm not going to be able to get every street, every single neighborhood. Basically, what I try to do around here is I try to get some of the general areas just to give you people an idea of the layout of the city or town. So, as I will say again, and I will emphasize this, if there's any specific area that you want me to drive through, leave a please, triple please, leave a comment below, and I will try to drive through that area at some point. And again, thanks for watching my videos, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, put the thumbs up, do all that good shit. The more you do that, the more algorithms that will go to my channel, and the more views I'll get. I mean, the more exposure I'll get, and the more views I'll get as a result to more exposure. I mean, I realize that right now, a lot of the videos that I do, I mean, you know, the majority of the days I shoot these videos are overcast days, but you know, right now it's January It's winter time here in Indiana. So it should go without saying that the majority of the videos I shoot right now, the weather is gonna most likely be overcast. And I understand that Indiana is not the fanciest place to live. It's not the most prestigious place to live. It's definitely not hip. I get all that. I mean, there's other YouTubers out here that live in areas much more hip than Indiana. But as I will continue to say, Indiana is a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to purchase some very affordable housing in some relatively safe and quiet communities. I mean, Kokomo, by the way, for the most part, is a quiet and safe city to live in. And Kokomo, like many other cities I did videos on, I mean, at some point, it's a little tiny house, it looks like. At some point, you will hear people talk negative about Kokomo, Indiana. Now, as I've said it on my other videos, Kokomo, like any other city in the United States, has its ups, it's got its downs, it has its issues. I mean, Kokomo is no worse than the average city of its size. And, you know, as I say, Indiana's a wonderful place to live. It's full of wonderful cities and smaller communities, the majority of which have very affordable housing. And as I say again, the economy here in Indiana, for the most part, is relatively stable. I mean, if you move here and you have a higher level of education, I mean, you can definitely do very well here in Indiana. You can do very well. I mean, you do not have to live in the suburbs to live a safe and happy, fulfilled life. You really don't. I would say 9 times out of 10, no matter where you choose to live, it's primarily what you make of it. And what I mean by that is, it's about the people that you choose to allow into your life. It's about some of the choices you make for your life. It's about how you allocate your resources. It's just about your general attitude. I mean, as long as you keep a positive attitude, as long as you allocate your resources correctly, as long as you hang with only positive people, as long as you make at least most of the right decisions in your life, no matter where you choose to live, no matter where you can afford to live, you can be every bit as happy and fulfilled, and you can even build wealth like many people in the suburbs do. I'm gonna let this person go by because I'm not gonna hold them up. But anyways, I just want to emphasize that you do not have to live in the suburbs to live the, I'll just say, life of your dreams. I mean, now granted, if you got the money to live in the suburbs and that's the kind of lifestyle that you choose to live, congratulations, I'm happy for you. But I just want to let people know that you don't have to live in the suburbs to live decently. And that's one of the main reasons why I chose to start my channel. Because like if you read the description of my channel, the premise of this channel is to show people, primarily people who make less than 40 grand a year, of how they can live their happiest and most fulfilled life. Now granted, regardless of what kind of money you make, you're still welcome to watch my videos. Hopefully y'all get something out of my videos as well. But there's just a lot of people out here who think because they work at a factory or whatnot that they can never ever live the lifestyle that they want to live. They can never ever be happy in life. They're gonna always be stuck living in some rinky-dink, ran-down apartment in the ghetto, roach and rat infested and all that type of shit. And and granted, some of these neighborhoods I'm driving you through are not by any means anything special. However, as I keep on telling you people, if you got the right kind of attitude and you allocate your resources wisely, you can move into one of these lower income areas, purchase yourself a home. I mean, the mortgage that you'll pay will be low. Or two, you can save your money up and buy some of these houses and pay cash. I mean, the majority of these areas that I drive you through are safe areas to live. It's just that the majority of the population in these areas are poor. But as far as the safety, I mean, for the most part, you really ain't got shit to worry about. I mean, don't let. I mean, some of the statistics that are out here that might speak negatively about some of these type of cities, even about some of these neighborhoods. I mean, don't let the statistics scare you. I mean, come out here, look at the area for yourself. And if you see a couple of people out and about and you feel comfortable approaching them, ask them a couple of questions. Go to the local Walmart, go to the local gas station. Ask a couple of questions to the clerk. I mean, just like I told you on one of my Newcastle videos. Don't go strictly off of statistics when it comes to picking a place where you want to live. Because if you go strictly off of statistics and that's all you go off of, there's going to be a lot of neat neighborhoods. There's going to be a lot of deals on housing that you're going to miss out on. And you're going to think that, okay, well, I can't afford to live I can't afford to ever purchase a house because I make, let's say, 35 grand a year. I'm not going to be able to build wealth ever because making 35 grand a year, I'm going to be stuck for the rest of my life paying rents. And this channel is to prove to you people that no, you won't. Provided that you are exercising, provided that you're utilizing your resources wisely, and you're taking at least some of my advice. If you're making 35 a year, and you pick the right kind of state, you pick the right type of city or town, and you pick the right kind of neighborhood to live in, 35 a year, you can make it. I mean, even after you get done paying all your bills, you can have it to where, you can have it to where you got money left over to set aside for your retirement. Every so often, like maybe, I don't know, every few months, you can get out and take you some small vacations. Do a little bit of traveling. Just because you make 30 some a year per se, doesn't mean that you have to live this scorched earth, can't do nothing fun life. It doesn't mean you have to live your life of misery. And some of you might look at where you currently live, and you might look at your area and say, I live in the ghetto. And, my philosophy about the ghetto is this. The ghetto, although the ghetto, I guess, according to the term in the dictionary, could be defined as a physical location that's poor and impoverished, and so on and so forth. The ghetto, in my opinion, is a mindset. The ghetto is a mindset. Because, the reason why people are poor is typically because of the mindset. It's typically because of your mindset. Because typically your decisions is what causes you to be poor or to be wealthy. And the majority of people who live in the ghetto, quote unquote, are poor, low income earning people. So, to say that the ghetto, so if you use the dictionary term of the ghetto, you can look at the ghetto as being a mindset, because really the ghetto is a mindset. If you choose to be ghetto, if you choose to think ghetto, then physically you're gonna be ghetto, because how do I say it to where I'm making sense here? Like, I'll give you an example. If you take two people and you give both parties, let's say, $100,000. Now, someone who's thinking forward, someone who's thinking for their future, they're going to take that $100,000 and reinvest it into their life to better their life. Like, if you give someone $100,000 who, let's say, does not own a home, they're going to take some of that $100,000 and buy a home. And if they're smart with that money, they're going to buy a home and pay cash. And then they'll take some more of that $100,000 and they'll put it away in some sort of mutual funds to where they can build compound interest and they'll pick a mutual fund that builds a minimal amount of compound interest of 8% annually. I mean, now on the other hand, if you give somebody $100,000 and they're a type of individual that, you know, they'll tell you that they live in the ghetto, and basically their mindset and just how they think is very negative. You give somebody like that $100,000, they're gonna probably take that money and, you know, they'll go out, they'll buy a brand new car, they'll buy a bunch of new clothes, they'll buy a bunch of jewelry. You know, they'll probably go on a bunch of vacations that are very pricey. Now, to me, someone who does that with $100,000 or with any substantial amount of money, I would say has a ghetto mindset. Because the ghetto is a mentality more so than it is a physical location. The ghetto only becomes a physical location after you choose to adopt the ghetto philosophy in your mind. I mean, you can live in the poorest neighborhood in the country and not live in the ghetto. You can live in the wealthiest neighborhood in the country and still be in the ghetto. Because if your mindset is ghetto, then wherever you live is going to sooner or later turn into a ghetto. Another an example of what I'm talking about is, I mean, I was raised up in northern Ohio. Now, if you go up to Cuyahoga County, Greater Cleveland, and you look at many of the neighborhoods on the east side of Cuyahoga County. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, the eastern half of Cuyahoga County used to be full of suburbs. These used to be the kind of communities that people wanted to move to. These used to be the kind of communities that had some of the best school systems of Cuyahoga County. But as of the late 80s and into the early 90s, a lot of your lower income earning families of the inner city of the east side of Cleveland moved into many of the eastern suburbs. Now, physically, a lot of these families may have been successful at getting out of the ghetto. But I mean, physically, they may have been successful at getting out of the ghetto. But mentally, the mentality, the same mentality that they had back when they were living on the east side of Cleveland, which, for those of you that don't know Cleveland, the east side of Cleveland is the poor part of Cleveland. So basically, these individuals kept the same mentality that they had on the east side of Cleveland, and they took it into many of these eastern suburbs that at the time were rather prestigious communities. And over the years, a lot of these eastern suburbs turned into New Age ghettos as a result. Now, on the other hand, there were certain parts of West Cleveland that were very dangerous, very ran down, that were gentrified. And once these areas got gentrified, there was a whole, I mean, the mentality of the people that moved to many of these communities were completely different than the people that were in those communities prior. So as a result, many of your many of your western neighborhoods of the west side of Cleveland improved significantly. Property values went up. More people are over there buying houses. So, that right there is just a small example of the fact that the ghetto is a mentality first. It only becomes a physical location afterwards. Because before you do something, first you gotta think about it. You're not gonna just do something and not think about it. Even if you think you're doing something and not thinking about it. Whatever action you choose to take, whether it be instant or whether it be something that you may have planned out, first you gotta think about it. So when it comes to the quote-unquote ghetto, the decisions that you make will determine whether or whether or not you're gonna be in the ghetto. Now, if you take an area of town or a community and you put a group of people who have made a bunch of bad decisions together, I guess that could constitute the ghetto to some degree. But, basically what I'm trying to say is, the ghetto is a mentality more so than a physical location. Basically that's what I'm trying to tell you people. So when I drive through these areas that are low income, and you see a lot of these houses that are old, some of which are ran down, some of which look like they should have been torn down 10 years ago. Just bear in mind there's houses in this area, there's areas within this area, if that makes any sense, to where you can purchase yourself a home, you can fix it up, make it look nice, and whatever lifestyle that you think people in the suburbs are living, you can duplicate that life in areas like this one. It's all about making the right choices. It's all about exercising good stewardship with your resources. Like if you're one of these people that you would like to go out to a 5-star restaurant, if you come around an area like this one and you buy one of these houses for 30 to 50,000 bucks, and you hurry up and you pay off that house, or you buy one of these houses and you pay cash, well, guess what? You will, at that point, have no mortgage. You will have no rent to have to pay. So you can take a chunk of that money, set it off to the side for entertainment. And then maybe once a week, you can pick a 5-star restaurant that you like. You can go out to eat. You can sit down side by side with some of the people that might live in the suburbs. And quite honestly, as long as you act right, as long as you dress right, as long as you present yourself the right way, which is not hard to do, and it does not cost any extra money to do so, the average Joe is not going to be able to look at you and tell that, you live on the east side of Kokomo, versus someone who might live let's say in Kokomo or Fishers, Indiana. I mean, obviously, you're going to know where you live. Your close ones might know where you live if you tell them. But the average Joe that's looking at you and looking at other people in the restaurant, they ain't going to know where you live. They ain't going to know who you are. And quite frankly, they're not going to care. Man, this is a nice house right here. Man, they got some land over here, for real. So I'm talking about. So I'm talking about right there, that big house that I just drove by. All that land, that's what I'm looking for. I don't need a house that big, but I would love to have a lot that size. Okay, people, this video is starting to get a little long, so in a minute or so, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off because I don't want my videos getting much longer than a half hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off right now. In fact, everybody have a blessed one, and I will see you guys on the next video.